Greetings, and thank you for joining us here at Davos 19. With us here is an influencer that is causing a media storm all across the globe, with their recent dressing down of the most powerful elite, whose representatives are here chatting about climate change once again. This time the warnings are not coming from the eminent scientists, but from a 16-year-old Swedish girl. According to the Times, Greta Thunberg is the 15th most influential teen in the world. She stunned a TEDx audience into standing ovation and has given speech at major events in Stockholm, Helsinki, Brussels and London. She has even made a plenary speech to the UN Secretary General, Kofi Annan. It was shared millions of times across the globe and went viral within hours. She is a shining light for the future in an otherwise dim landscape. So let's find out who this pint-sized prophet of our time really is. Let's go behind the headlines. But before we bring Greta on stage, the purpose of Behind the Headlines is to get to know Greta in terms of her personality. Where did this determinant identity come from? And what insights can we get from Greta from a cognitive and moral development standpoint? But without further ado, Greta Thunberg! Welcome, Greta!
Hello!
Greta, thank you for joining us here today. You must be so busy right now. How do you feel your speech went earlier today?
Well, okay, I guess. If it gives them something to think about on their planes on the way home, then it would just be okay, not successful. If those decision makers start making good decisions for a change, then it would help.
Ah yes, I'm looking forward to discussing your thoughts on climate change in a while, but first, I know the people who want to see the personality behind the headlines. They'd like to know how you became such an inspiring voice to thousands of teens. They'd like to see behind the headlines.
I don't see why that would help. People should stop looking for celebrities and realise their house is on fire. Looking at me isn't going to fix anything.
Yes, but you might accept that if people show an interest in you, they're showing an interest in climate change? And the more the better?
Well, if you put it like that, you have 9 minutes left.
Okay, let's continue. I see on your biography that you filled in Bronfenbrenner's ecological theory of human development. Now, that's an unusual thing to do. Can you tell us why you chose to do that?
It's interesting to see where you've come from and why people think the way they do. I came across it when trying to figure out normal people like you, that is. I think in many ways that we autistic are the normal ones and the rest of you people are pretty strange, especially when it comes to the sustainability crisis.
Well, the Bronfenbrenner, for those of you at home, the Bronfenbrenner model has many different systems which can affect a child. You've got the microsystem, the mesosystem, the exo, and the macrosystem.
Well, my parents and grandfather are in my microsystem because I see and interact with them every day.
Oh, yes.
When I was 8, my teacher, who is also in my microsystem, told our class about global warming and how people are affecting this. I could not understand how people would knowingly be destroying the world and letting it continue. However, when looking at the Bronfenbrenner model, I could see that global warming, for me and most people, is in our exosystems.
Yes.
The local governments, which are also in my exosystem, weren't doing anything to make a change in our warming climate. So I decided that it is necessary for me to take global warming from my exosystem and make it a purpose to be directly involved with it in my microsystem. This is a tough connection to make, so I had to start with people I knew best, my parents. I have persuaded my parents to do this. They now drive an electric car, they no longer fly an aeroplane. What was once in our exosystem has been connected to my microsystem.
It's terrific. I'm sure all of yours would think it's terrific, but I do see a problem. How are you going to get this idea across to everyone?
Well, if you look at the macro system in my Bronfenbrenner, you will see culture and laws, among others. These are affecting my life and what I believe in. But because I don't have direct contact with people all over the world, they cannot share my beliefs. Therefore, I have made my voice heard by striking at the Swedish House of Parliament every Friday during school time.
So you believe that striking can help you to achieve the recognition that global warming deserves?
Yes.
And will eventually build the gap or bridge the gap between your macro and micro systems?
Yes, and so far it's working. But it is only a small step. More people need to do more to save our planet. We need our cultures to change, to become more sustainable to the environment, and we need our governments to wake up and realise that the time for saving the planet is now. I'm doing this because nobody else is doing anything. It is my moral responsibility to do what I can. I want the politicians to prioritise the climate question, focus on climate, and treat it like a crisis.
Yes, indeed. For our viewers just tuning in, I'm here with Greta Thunberg. For those of you who are unaware of who Greta is, she's a 16-year-old political activist seeking to stop global warming and climate change. Behind the headlines today is giving the viewers a unique chance to see Greta live and in person, using scientific studies to show how she has developed into this remarkable young adolescent. For those of you who aren't familiar with the work of Erik Erikson, a German psychoanalyst who founded the theory of man, according to Erikson, you are in a stage of identity versus role confusion. Can you, at this stage of your life, define who you are, can know what you value in life, and see a clear direction?
I can understand that for many people my age, this may seem like a difficult question. However, in my case, it is not. I am passionate about saving the world and doing anything I can to reduce CO2 emissions. When I first heard of global warming and climate change, I knew straight away that this was my destiny in life. I had to figure out a way to make my voice heard. Seeing as politics is important in every country, I thought I would start there.
And quite right indeed. You've made your voice heard, and in many areas of the world, causing quite the storm. How are your relationship with your peers at school? You explained earlier your Bronfenbrenner. Are your peers in your microsystem?
I have relationships with my friends at school. Some friends I have are closer than others, just like any other person. I'm sure some of them are sick of hearing me talk about climate change at this stage. My friends are supportive of me. They join me occasionally on strike, and of course, they are in my microsystem. However, I am quite shy about things which don't interest me. This can often make people think that I am asocial, when really I have Asperger's syndrome, OCD, and selective mutism. I only talk when I have to. I suppose this is one of those occasions.
Thank you for being so honest.
It seems my peers get sidetracked all of the time, changing their minds about things. They can take a long time to develop what they think, who they are, and what's important. They look for that reassurance and direction from their peer networks. I knew from the age of 8 what was important.
It seems to me, Greta, that you have a strong sense of commitment to life choice, of making this world a better place and a healthier place to live in. Towards your peers, you seem like a quite normal, 16-year-old, even with the conditions you describe yourself to have. Would that sum up your answers?
Yes, that is correct. I think it is important to say that. While being at events like this one in Davos, I get the chance to meet similar-minded people. They are the people not wearing suits and arriving by private jet. Travelling to places like London and Brussels, I get the chance to meet other activists who have the same intentions as I do. This increases my relationship with people and helps me to be more social.
Yes, of course, that can help with your identity, and of course it makes more connections in your Bronfenbrenner.
I will have to update it in the near future. It's dynamic.
Yes. James Garcia, a Canadian psychologist, who has added more detail on Erikson's theory, would identify Greta to belong to the achievement stage, where you've made a life choice and which direction, and you've explored other alternatives. But moving on, Greta, are you familiar with Swiss psychoanalyst Piaget and his work with cognitive development?
Yes, I have been reading one of his books whilst I was on strike.
Oh, great. And which stage do you belong to?
Well, it's not straightforward. At 7 to 11 years, Piaget believes that children go through a concrete operational stage. For me, this phase came earlier in my development. Maybe it's because of my Asperger, because I am already thinking logically and have understood conversations in Swedish and English for a long time now.
Yes, and on that note, your English is amazing at such a young age.
Thank you.
And so if the concrete operational stage came too early, which stage are you in now?
I am in the formal operational stage for some time now. Piaget's theory says you enter the stage from 11 till adulthood, but I have been here from at least the age of 9. I have been studying the global environment, climate change, taking action on global issues and showing the world my true identity. You could say that my mind has administered a black and white thinking. It's simple. To stop emissions, to save the world, for my children and my grandchildren's sake, it is black and white.
It's a mature answer from a mature young woman, looking to change the mind and cultures of many people throughout the world. But moving on from Piaget, we now take a look at another American psychologist called Lawrence Kohlberg, who further studied Piaget's theory, giving it a deeper meaning, and broke it down into 3 fundamental levels: pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. Greta, you being 16 years old, according to this model, you'd be placed in the conventional stage, as you are an early adolescent. Would you care to share your thoughts on that?
I disagree. Of course I believe the stages are present, but I consider myself to be in the post-conventional stage. I give public speeches, strike, organise marches and take action on stopping global warming because the world isn't doing enough. Doing what is right and good are matters of individual conscience and involve abstract concepts of justice, human dignity and equality. The rules of normal society tell us that we children should be at school. I chose to disobey this rule for a greater cause and to stand up for what I believe in. Scientists went to school, but I don't see politicians listening to them when they have knowledge about our climate. So why should I go to school?
It's incredibly brave of you, Greta. Have you always been this outspoken?
No. Because of Asperger's syndrome and selective mutism, I only speak when it's necessary.
Well, we can clearly see your strong beliefs and willingness to make people listen. I'm sure our viewers at home are overwhelmed with the amount of knowledge and wisdom you are displaying, and I truly hope that they are receiving your message. We'll be back right after these messages from our sponsor. Greta, you're doing an amazing job. Well done.
Thank you.
We'll be back in the air in a couple of seconds. Would you like anything to drink?
No, thank you. I'm too young.
Great. And we're back on the air in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the show, Greta Thunberg here, ladies and gentlemen. I have to congratulate you on being nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. It must be a boost to your self-esteem.
Well, it was a surprise to me. Normally a girl has to get shot for that sort of thing, but why must it boost my self-esteem? It's like I have the whole world's expectation on me now. I'm not just a girl who is right of spectrum, striking outside of the Reichstag in Stockholm on a Friday. I've never had the Elkins imaginary audience before. Now everyone is judging me, trolling me. My self-concept has undergone some major changes recently. I've gone from a big fish in a little pond to a little fish in an ocean.
Yes, well, it's said that if you've a high achievement and popularity, then that leads to self-esteem. You are amongst the most popular and high-achieving teens in the world. You must be riding high.
Yeah, but as Martian Ayotti pointed out, it can be vice versa. I really haven't achieved anything. We're still hurtling towards a 1.3% degree rise in global temperatures. All I've done is talk to as many people as I can and live the change I want to see. Live a carbon neutral life.
Yes, and as we know, you grew up in a small town in Sweden. How much do you think that has affected your reasoning?
Of course, it has been a major influence on my diversity of reasoning. My culture is respectful, and we bring our own bags to the grocery store. And we are IKEA and Volvo, the Nobel Committee, and we take our shoes off at the front door. We have strong moral codes within our society, and of course, it has influenced me too. Cooperation is the fundamental drive of moral behaviour from infancy, and it seems the world isn't cooperating very much nowadays.